serious. It's early. Good morning, everybody. Yes, good morning, everybody. Welcome to a special edition of Inside the Pig Pen. Why do we have four of us? Because we're the four people that want to get you ready for today's action, maybe a little bit about Sunday, and talk about some predictions later in the show. So with that said, I want to welcome Candy. I believe back. Good morning, Candy.
Good morning, gentlemen. Happy to be here.
And Marvin, my superstar. We did a triple header last night for Roundtable. How you feeling?
Man, I feel good, Scott. Happy being here. Happy to see you and Candy and Mel.
And Mel, I got news for you.
Even
This is Steve, man.
Mel, happy to see you and Mel, right?
Yeah, hey, that's very kind of you, Marvin.
Good morning. We have our own fearsome foursome. Awesome, baby, and Dick Vitale would say. This is unbelievable stuff. We get to do this, doing this stuff on Saturday morning. Hey, listen, Saturday morning show gives you a little different dimension than the Monday show because we're doing past tense here. We're doing a little bit more present tense, and today we're going to have some predictions as well. All right, well, let's get to it. Obviously, want to talk about the ACC network as we're playing Miami Hurricanes game. They actually hosting the Notre Dame 9 times, okay, between Thursday and Friday, to let people know, especially the college football committee, who won that game. Candy, what was the score of that game?
Oh, I didn't know you were going to ask me that game. It was they won by 3.
Okay. You're our crack researcher. We all know Miami won the opener. Candy and I were there to see it. Candy was on the
27-24.
What is that, 27-24?
27-24, yes.
And the ACC wants to let everybody know who won that game, and they'll say it wasn't Notre Dame, even though Notre Dame does play a lot of ACC schools so that they're able to boost their strength of schedule. Candy, what are your thoughts about the fact that the ACC network is looking to hammer this thing home to let them know who they really want in the college football playoff?
Let's face it, they want to be relevant. The fact of the matter is there is a chance, albeit small, there is a chance that there will not be any ACC team. There is a scenario where there's not any ACC team in the college football playoffs, and obviously ACC does not want that. They want their, at least one workhorse in there. So let's see what happens. Hopefully Miami can make it in there, but it's a slim chance.
Well, we have a pleasant surprise. Welcome, Josh Burstein. Glad to have you back in. Where's Skip? Right now, he's not in there. This is football, my friend. And hopefully, now that you're back, you'll be able to catch hockey. We have some great stuff. Good to have you back, Joshua. All right, Marvin.
Yeah, it's competitive. When it was a 4-team playoff, it was all about, there's always that 5th and 6th team that needs to be in there. And they expanded it to 12, and now they still can't get it right. Miami, they beat Notre Dame. Obviously the conversation is who should get in, Notre Dame, Miami. And when you look at Notre Dame's schedule, their best win is against USC, a 9-3 USC team. A lot of the teams that Notre Dame played, you look at their teams, their records, their defensive ranking against their opponents. It's not very good. So Notre Dame's wins aren't that great. Lost to Louisville, and you lost to SMU. Not horrible wins, not horrible losses, but still. I was shocked to see y'all lose at SMU, to be honest with you, and I was shocked to see you guys lose to Louisville. You guys have talent. You have 10 wins, and what is a okay conference, to be honest with you. I think right now the big shift really is toward the Big Two. Candy's right. The ACC is trying to be relevant and trying to find relevancy here. It's tough, when you have a title game with a 5-loss team. Duke has 5 losses, and they're competing for your championship. That is insane. That makes y'all look horrible, So I can understand the issue of letting Miami in, to be honest with you, but I do think that they're one of the best 12 teams out there, just based on who they beat, record, and their athletes. They have guys over there. So I'd be shocked if UM didn't get in. To be honest with you, I would. But they're not playing for the championship, and the team who is 5 losses. I don't know.
Hey, Josh, just to answer your question, where's Skip? The Skip I think you're referring to is no longer with our network. So I just want to put that out to you. Go ahead, Mel.
So what is Miami ranked right now in the in the
13,
CFP? 13? They were really
right? Candy, are they 13? I
Yeah,
think Notre Dame is 12.
I think they're 12. They're 12, but the problem is that whoever wins the conference championship, because one of those has to go in as opposed to, the 12th
well,
one.
yeah. Well, we know Duke's not going to go in.
Well, I'm going to get to those scenarios in a minute. We're just talking about the fact that the ACC network is trying to pound it in to let them know who won the game. That's their way of their sales pitch for Miami to get in.
Yeah,
but don't worry,
everybody,
I'll take those scenarios down.
Everybody knows who won the game. We all know who won the game. The problem is it doesn't matter how far you expand it out. There's always going to be somebody who feels like they're left out. Right. Now, Miami had an opportunity to deal with this on the field. And again, we understand the committee really is they're just stooges for the networks. We know what the networks want. And as far as brand is concerned, Notre Dame is a much bigger brand than Miami. Even though Miami has, some historical relevance with the national championships that they won, in historical context, they're nowhere near the size of Notre Dame. So what does the money want? What do the networks want? The networks want Notre Dame to be in there versus Miami. So that's what it really boils down to. And I think that, they're just a front for what the networks want. It's all about money now. It doesn't have anything to do with what happens on the field. It's all about money.
Well, Miami's Achilles heel is like Marvin was alluding to. They lost to 2 unranked teams, period. Louisville was unranked, and so is SMU. You lose to 2 unranked teams, and you have a track record for tripping up somewhere during the middle of the season. That's one thing. But I was reading that the way they performed at the end of that Florida State game didn't help matters any either. And when you go out there and say that Florida State was 5-7, and get this, Florida State might actually have a chance to get in a bowl game because their APR, their academic progress rate, may end up getting them there because Kansas State's not going to even go. Can you imagine that? We'll talk about that later. I don't want to get off track too much. Miami losing to 2 unranked teams is their Achilles heel. They win one or two.
Notre Dame lost to Northern Illinois last year. I mean, that can't be a worse loss than that.
Yeah, but the problem is
still made the finals.
They lost once, but if you lose to 2 unranked teams, again, I'm not going to sit here and be an Einstein to think I know what these people are thinking. That's above my pay grade. No, I'm with you. They did lose to Northern Illinois, but they recovered well. Miami didn't recover. And also remember, they lost to Northern Illinois earlier in the year. Miami lost to these 2 teams in the middle of the year. So Notre Dame had ample time to recover. Miami, unfortunately, did because they ended up getting tripped up in the middle of the year. That's all.
SMU was ranked at some point in time, right? So did they lose before SMU was ranked or after SMU was ranked to SMU? Because they've been ranked in the top 25.
Excellent point, Mel. SMU was unranked at the time when Miami faced them, and that's what they're going to judge it by. They're going to judge them by that Miami lost to 2 unranked teams, and they're going to stick it to them. And again, the way Miami played at the end of that FSU game wasn't very good. That's a team they should have blown out the way that thing was going, but they let FSU get back into the game. So let me point out this, okay? The scenarios. You guys are doing an awesome job getting to them. So let's do this. If BYU wins, Miami is cooked. If Duke wins, Virginia is cooked. Let me keep going. ACC needs Virginia to win for Miami to have a chance and BYU to lose. Okay, let's keep it going. If BYU loses, Miami would be next to Notre Dame and could replace them at number 10. If Duke and BYU win on Saturday, no ACC teams will be in the college football playoffs. There you go, Candy. That's the scenario you just pointed out. So should I repeat them back, or were you able to comprehend that, or you want me to go over it again?
I get them. The one thing I will remind everybody about Miami's losses. One loss was by 3 points to Louisville, and the loss at SMU was in overtime.
Right.
Obviously SMU scored the touchdown, and yes, Miami lost both teams. Bad team, would it be? I would find it. I get what Mel says. ACC locked out. It's all about money, but I think ACC needs to then really recruit and really put the nails to the committee, because obviously you don't want to leave out a whole conference, because that's a whole different, money grab there too. So,
So there's no automatic qualifier for the conference champions anymore.
No,
not at all. And get this, we're talking about a Power 4 school, right? And all of a sudden you're down to 3 conferences, Power 3 getting in, and the ACC is the other one out. This isn't football. This is football, people, not basketball, where they're going to automatically get in anyway. So I see everybody's point. Everybody's on track. The ACC needs somebody to get in to save face. But again, like I say, if BYU wins, Miami's in trouble. They're out. That's all there is to it. BYU can mess it all up. And again, if Duke wins, well, Virginia's coach. So
Notre Dame is really an ACC team. They just don't share the money with the ACC if they win.
Well, they're independent. They play ACC. That. Right. Notre Dame, I've always said that Notre Dame, I can't believe when that NBC money runs out, if it ever does, they're going to have to find a conference to survive. And I think the most likely conference they should be in is the Big Ten, not the ACC to begin with. But that's for another conversation. Huh?
They don't want that smoke having to play UCLA all the time. They don't want that smoke.
That's true too. Yeah. Don't worry
about football, not softball. Not softball, man. I'm talking about football.
Yeah. I'll wait for this
Marvin, be nice, man. Being optimistic here.
So that's what you've got. I mean, there is a chance the ACC could get shut out. We're going to talk about some predictions later in the show, but that's what we have. Anybody else want to talk about this? Miami needs some help.
They do, and it's tough. Listen, I know we'll get into the predictions later, but I believe that Tony Elliott has Virginia really rocking. I think these guys, I think they got something going on. I also think that the head coach for Duke, who used to be at UN, used to be at Penn State.
Manny Diaz.
Manny Diaz knows what he's doing. Coaching matters, y'all. Leadership matters. Again, I know it's a 5-loss team, but for whatever it is, he's finagled a way to get into the championship game. You know what I'm saying? So kudos to him. It's going to be tough if UM needs Virginia to win, then that's probably going to happen, I think. And then you have, BYU, Texas Tech. This is NIL money, baby. I mean, who the heck was Texas Tech, right? Where did they come from all of a sudden? They had Michael Crabtree for a minute, Grant Harrell, but like the playoffs, right? So, hey, hello NIL, hello New Day.
They had Pat Mahomes, right?
They had Pat Mahomes, that's right. I mean, I skip over him because everyone else did in the draft. I mean, but BYU's going to be tough. I think they're going to be tough. That should actually be a good game. Again, UM needs help over there. I think we'll talk about the score later.
Well, the reality is Miami's going to be doing a lot of scoreboard watching, no matter how they're
Yeah. It sucks to be in that position. You have to.
I've been there before. Stranger things have happened. I think we need to have 3 things happen. We lost to SC my sophomore year. Eric Ball fumbled, and we lost to SC. He was back in his dorm room in the dark and wouldn't come out. And it's 3 things that needed to happen in order for us to make it to the Rose Bowl. All 3 of those things happened. We backdoored into the Rose Bowl.
Can you imagine if Manny Diaz wins an ACC championship before Mario Cristobal? I mean, gosh, but that scenario's there. It's just
that's
the guy that showed the door.
Won the ACC. They've been there for 20 years. They've never won the ACC. That is mind blowing.
It really is.
They've never won their own conference. Well,
they were all right in the Big East, but once they got to the ACC, that's called humble pie, Marvin.
And the reality is, they didn't play any football.
Well, but when we started this topic, and I think it's just interesting as we circle back for a minute, it's amazing that the ACC is lobbying and showing the game 9 times to let them know the result of who won, and yet it was a close game. Yeah. If there's anybody who deserves a dunce hat here, it's me, because I didn't even go into the Notre Dame thing. I didn't think about going to the visitor side until I got to the University of South Florida. But let me tell you, I learned. I'll get Notre Dame the next time.
Yeah. It was a close game. At the beginning of the year, they had a freshman quarterback playing. It was an ugly game. It was a tough game for Notre Dame. And so in Miami barely won the game, and maybe the committee is looking at that as well. But really, I believe it's more about the money.
Yeah, that's true. Well, we can talk about this all day long, but let's turn our attention to the pros. Pittsburgh Steelers have claimed Adam Thielen to give Aaron Rodgers another target down the stretch. Adam Thielen obviously said this will be his last year. He'll probably retire as a Viking. We'll go to Candy. What are your thoughts about Adam Thielen joining Aaron Rodgers? Pretty interesting tandem.
Yeah, I mean, Aaron Rodgers has taken Devontae Adams different places. How did that work out? You just never know. I mean, Adam Thielen wasn't getting the receiving yards that he wanted in Minnesota because, let's face it, they've had a carousel at the quarterback position and people in and out. He wants a championship. Like, he's not going to get it going to the Steelers this year, though. But he wants more stats.
He wants a check.
So, yeah, exactly. He wants a check. He wants money.
He wasn't going to get it from Carolina either. Whatever
right.
he was.
Yeah, right. No, I'm with you.
Exactly. So kudos to him. I mean, hopefully, I've always said that it's their O-line in the Steelers that is giving Aaron Rodgers the problems. He's not getting the protection that he needs at his age because he doesn't have the mobility and the quickness to move around as much as he used to.
Listen, if you can add Aaron Rodgers a veteran target, you might as well do it. And Adam Thielen is as good as they get. Go ahead, Marvin.
Yeah, no, Adam Thielen had a really good career in Minnesota, very productive receiver. When you look at the Steelers, you realize these people gave up George Pickens. Look at Pickens. Pickens is playing like an all-pro player right now. He's out here. Can you imagine if Rodgers had one more guy like Pickens to throw the ball to, get the ball to out there, even with that O-line playing as crazy as it is. So yeah, this is them reaching. I mean, they're playing in a huge game this week against Baltimore for first place. As up and down as the year has been for the Steelers, they're still in it. The Avs are absolutely still in it. It is realistic for them to talk playoffs and beyond. So yeah, you get a guy like Thielen, a veteran guy. I'm sure he has some kind of familiarity with the quarterback coach, offensive coordinator. I'm sure he'll pick up that offense quick enough, fast enough to have some type of impact, hopefully, because they need it. Aaron Rodgers needed it. This is not going. I'm looking at interviews. He looks like he got beat up by Muhammad Ali in some of these. He looks like he got beat up. It's crazy. You know what I mean? He looks bad, man, seeing in these press conferences, doing these interviews, they're beating up on the old man. But listen, with all that said, again, the Steelers are still in it. They are realistically looking at a playoff spot if they could win a couple more games here, going down the stretch. So, yeah, Thielen should do something. He's something. He's a smart, heady player, and this should be interesting.
Well, you know what? If we keep doing these Saturday shows, I'm going to run this by all four of us, okay? How would you guys like to go out there and make predictions on pro games every Sunday or Saturday as we do them? That's something we can think about in bowl games. We'll do more predictions on Saturday if we keep this thing going, because this Saturday thing is an awful lot of fun. We're able to do things with more information about predictions. I'll let you guys run it by. We'll run it by the group text. Okay, Mel, go ahead.
I think it's much to do about nothing. Adam Thielen, he's not. I mean, he's not. See, Aaron Rodgers is no longer a force multiplier. He no longer makes other people around him better. You look at the way that Dak was spinning the ball yesterday. When CeeDee Lamb went out of the game, some guy Flournoy or something like that stepped up and had a huge impact. They're not doing a very good job of developing. I mean, if you're bringing in an Adam Thielen at whatever 30 plus years old, I mean, Adam really, he's just trying to get a check. Trust me. That means they're not doing a good job of acquiring talent and developing that talent that they acquire. So I look at it as being a problem. And then Aaron Rodgers is not making the people around him better. Dak is making those guys around him better. The one thing that you saw us say about Tom Brady is he made the players around him better. He never had top-notch wide receivers, but yet they were competitive each and every year. But there are so many things broken with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I love Mike Tomlin, but there's a lot wrong with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, they're not as physical as they used to be. They're not as dominant on the defensive side of the ball as they used to be. They're not as dominant on the line of scrimmage as they used to be. They can't win in the trenches, so they can't run the football. They can't throw the football. How is Adam Thielen going to fix that?
Well, the thing is, you can't trade away good talent. That's what they did with George Pickens. They couldn't get along with him, got rid of him.
Well, they didn't want to pay him. They didn't want to pay him $40 million.
So they didn't want to pay him. But you can't keep getting rid of great players. You can't do that and looking for Band-Aids, and that's what they've done. Dak Prescott's a heck of a quarterback. Jerry Jones will pay him. I don't know what he get for him. Who knows what he'll get? But obviously, we've seen George Pickens.
Pittsburgh is too old. They just got older.
Exactly. So that's my point. You're making my point for me. So Dak Prescott doing well with George Pickens, and obviously with the Dallas Cowboys and Jerry Jones's money, he's more likely to get the money. But you're right, Mike Tomlin isn't doing a good job developing quarterbacks as well as other players. How long do you think you can live on? Well, we finished over 500 every time I've been here. That's all well and good. That's not winning you a world championship, and people in Pittsburgh want to see that.
It's nice on your resume. It looks good on your resume.
Exactly.
I never had a losing season. That looks great in your resume.
Precisely. Great minds think alike on this panel. All right, let's go to another Steeler. Everybody got what they want to say about Adam Thielen? Because if you do, we're graduating to Darius Slay, who was waived by the Pittsburgh Steelers and was claimed by the Buffalo Bills. He won't be reporting to Buffalo to take some time away from football and decide if he wants to keep playing. He won a Super Bowl last year with Philadelphia. I hear he wanted to go back to Philadelphia, but obviously that didn't work out. Now, Buffalo retains his rights. If he's going to play anywhere, it's with Buffalo. And when I talked to him at the Super Bowl, he actually wanted to go back to Detroit, and the Lions could use him. But Candy, some thoughts about Darius Slay?
You know, he's. I'm just looking to see he's age 34. Yeah, I mean, I remember you talking to him at the Super Bowl, Scott, and how excited he was. To think now all of a sudden, you know, we're not even a year removed and he's talking retirement. Just kind of really surprises me. It tells me that there's more to that story than what we're, you know, hearing, because he, like you said, he wanted a Super Bowl championship. He wanted to go back to Detroit. He loved his time in Detroit. Right. He was there from 13 to 19. And to go to, let's face it, most of these guys, as you're getting near the end of your career, you want to be on winning teams that, you know, where you can have an impact and matter and get a ring. That's what it's all about. So, yeah, I was surprised by all of these moves.
Marvin?
Yeah, I mean, this is a veteran Super Bowl champion. He knows how to maneuver and move if he's trying to go somewhere else. At the same time, listen, when guys start talking about, you know, retirement and you know, what one fit out the door.
They're retired.
Yeah, I mean, that's just, you know, that's not really the conversation I would be having when you're trying to inspire another team to sign you and give you a contract and bring you in. I know, you know, these guys do it, and guys retire and guys have come back. But, you know, to me, it sounds like a guy who's just kind of over it to a degree, you know what I'm saying, and is looking forward to the next chapter of life. Again, when you're trying to get a high-paying job, but, you know, with these elite athletes at these at these organizations that only bring in the best and the brightest, you can't be talking about it's over. You got to be talking about what you have, you know, what you have left in the tank, you know, what you want to do, what your plans are to be great. So maybe this is a bigger play for him to go somewhere else. Like Candy's saying, maybe, you know, the guy's subconscious is coming out of his mouth, you know, and right. People at home are telling him, hey, it's time to stay home, honey. You've had enough. We got a big bag. You got a big ring. You had a great career. You know, with CTE and all the stuff out there, maybe it's time to shut it down. I don't know.
No.
Yeah, I think he's just, you know, I think he's done, you know, mentally. You know, football, you lose it mentally before you lose it physically. I mean, he may physically be able to still go out there and do it, but mentally he doesn't want to put his hat in there. You know, he's looking at Buffalo, looking at that division. He's like, and what they might be asking him to do, and he's just not so sure about it. The cold, you know, Buffalo was cold. How many games they have left to play in Buffalo? Where are the other games at? And all that kind of, I mean, he's looking at everything. I mean, he's finding all the reasons not to play anymore, as opposed to finding, you know, reasons to play. He's finding all the excuses as to not why he shouldn't play. So, I mean, you know, once you utter those words, you know, really, you've already checked out. So it's just waiting for your body to follow. So he was probably checked out at the beginning of the year. Maybe the reason why Pittsburgh let him go, they everyone's to look at film on him week in and week out. So, you know, he's like Marvin said, he's had a great career, Super Bowl champion. You know, Detroit had him for a long time. They didn't want to pay him, let him get out of there. That was the old regime, but he's had a great career. So he has nothing to hang his head about.
Yeah, there's so much more I have to add to it. Although when I did talk to him, he did express the desire to want to go back and play for the Lions. Right now, let's keep this in mind with the Lions. They lost Brian Branch the other day to an Achilles injury, And I'll tell you what, they could use him right now. Brian Branch's injury is serious, and he's done for the year. I'll be curious to see who Brad Holmes brings in to try to replace him. The Lions' injuries are starting to really mount up, and Darius Slay could have been a big part of what they're doing. So let's go back and revisit the Duke topic, okay? Because this one intrigues me a little bit. They are actually 7-5 going into the ACC championship game after Cal beat SMU. The way they got here is that there was a 5-way tie for second place. And obviously, we're talking about the fact that the ACC champ could miss the playoffs. But think about it. They got here because Cal beat SMU. So a 5-way tie, and that's how a 7-5 team gets in there, Candy.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy to think that a 7-5 team is playing for the ACC championship. I just can't, considering you have other teams that are way better as well. But, they redid how they do everything. And so it is what it is. We'll find out how well it pans out for them in the game.
Marvin?
Yeah, this has to be a situation where, the ACC is divided into divisions, I guess, and one team from each division goes. What it needs to be is just, straight up and down, whoever has the best record in conference plays. It's really embarrassing, to be honest with you, especially considering how, so much credit and love is being given to the SEC and the Big Ten. And you see a lot of the attention and the focus and the respect going toward the SEC and the Big Ten. The ACC is kind of the conference that is almost being left out of the conversation and being left out of the conversation of who's respected and who we look at and who we watch. Granted, Miami is a good team. Florida State, Clemson are historically good programs. But as a whole, you see all the attention going away for them. So for them to represent themselves with a 5-loss team in a championship game, it's embarrassing. They got to figure that out. And God forbid if Duke beats Virginia, it's even more of a mess. You know what I mean? So, the ACC has something to figure out. They have to get it together because they want to have a much more competitive resume as we get into these playoffs. And a 5-loss team just makes the conference look bad.
Mel?
Yeah, you look at their losses. They lost to Illinois. They lost to Tulane. They lost to Georgia Tech. They lost to UConn, and they lost to Virginia. So this is going to be a do-over. They lost to Virginia 34-17. And you try to figure out, well, I was saying, well, maybe they had a real strong non-conference schedule and lost all their non-conference games, and that's the reason why they're in there. But you look at it, it's really not that. So that just tells you about, the league. There's really no dominant player in that league, I guess. Clemson is no longer the dominant force that they were in that league. They were dominant. And if you're going to, win in that league, it seems that you need to be, dominant. There needs to be somebody dominant. You can't have these little hiccups against schools that you're supposed to beat. Now, there are teams that are getting better as well. Georgia Tech stumbled, down the stretch, but they looked real hot coming into the last couple of weeks. But the last couple of weeks, they have kind of stumbled. So it's interesting to see how all this is playing out. But that's 7-5. That means USC could be playing for a championship. Maybe they should look at going to the ACC.
Wow.
Now, on Tuesday night, we're going to be talking more about Florida State. But you want something to say, Candy? Because I'm going to add something to this. Go ahead.
I was going to say Duke arrived via the benefit of tiebreakers that separated 5 teams with 6-2 marks in conference play. At 7-5 overall, the Blue Devils are an unlikely participant in the conference title game as their resume is dragged down by a 1-3 mark in non-conference play. They reached the ACC championship game by having a higher conference opponent winning percentage than the other 4 teams who were also 6-2 in league play.
Great stuff. All right, so let's talk about Florida State for a minute. We're going to talk more about them and Mike Norvell on Tuesday. But something came across my wire the other day, and we're going to talk about Florida State, the academic progress rate, and the fact that Kansas State doesn't want to go to a bowl, which opens up a window that because of academics, they have a chance to actually get in there. So we'll talk about Mike Norvell. This would be a pretty good boost for him, knowing that he's hopefully going to have some financial support to make this thing a little bit better. But another storyline came out of it too. Tommy Castellanos was denied another year of eligibility. I'm going to start with this question first, and then we'll go to the academic progress rate. And he would be on his 7th year as well, dating back to his Boston College and Central Florida days, Candy. Do you think that Tommy Castellanos, that was the right move to deny him his 7th year? Because he actually looked pretty good for a while. They beat Alabama. But you have two things. You have the academic progress rate, which I talked to FAU coach Zach Kitley about. That would have been their win to win, but obviously they lost to East Carolina badly. But think about it. This is Florida State's opportunity to get in. First of all, Candy, Florida State, is it good for the ACC for them to get in? And the second question, and you guys are going to answer that same way too, so pay close attention. I'm asking her. Okay, so you got them getting in, and then you have Tommy Castellanos, Candy.
Obviously, ACC wants anybody in. It doesn't matter who. They want somebody in. Would it be good for the ACC? Of course, it would be good for the ACC. Now, as far as Tommy Castellanos, I have a problem with a 4-year college degree. Typically now takes 4 or 5 years, even a 6th year of eligibility. But 7 years is just too long. There are too many other people that are coming through the ranks that if you keep giving people 7 years, you're missing out on some of the people that are now 3 or 4 years. So, and yes, I know they could maybe beat them, but I think there has to be a limit. I don't think 7 years is right for eligibility. I mean, if you're that good, go play in the NFL. You're going to get paid there, you know.
And if you're not that good, you go UFL. Let's go to Dad Heat's comment. I like this comment, and we'll set Marvin up with it, okay? ACC should never have screwed Miami with the terrible football officiating versus SMU. That's a valid point. Miami did get a bad break in that because of officiating, but you have to hope that a game doesn't depend on officiating to get in. But Dad Heat does make a valid point, Marvin. Take it from there.
Yeah.
Take that, and then we'll add the Florida State stuff to it so we answer this person's question.
Yeah, listen, officiating, I mean, the refs control the game. Let's be honest. They control the game. So many of these calls, whether it's holding or interference, could be subjective. And, you know, when you get, you know, refs who throw these flags, you know, left and right in one scenario but not the other, it seems like there's an advantage. At the end of the day, the players have enough time and enough plays to make a difference in the game. You know what I mean? I think as a fan, as a player, we've all been impacted by good officiating and bad officiating. Sometimes it's good for you, sometimes it's not, you know? So, but with all that said, you still have an opportunity to go out there and play the game, improve your point, and win the game. So that's my thoughts on that. I mean, Candy's right. Again, the ACC is fighting for relevance, that they're fighting to be heard, to be seen, to feel like they're a big dog. Not being in the playoffs is huge. Not having somebody in the playoffs from your championship round is huge. So, and it just looks bad. It's a horrible look when you have teams with you're going to have conferences with multiple teams in there. You know what I'm saying? And then you're going to have, you know, conferences, Big Ten, SEC in particular, who are going to have teams left out that could have been in there. You know what I mean? So the fact that the ACC is just struggling and fighting, they're working with the ACC network to show these games. It's just not looking good for the ACC, man. It's just a bad look. In regards to Tony Castellanos, look, you know, Candy, if typically guys that play 7 years in college don't go to the NFL. Typically, if you're an NFL guy, you're an NFL guy in 3-4 years. You know, that's right. Typically what it is. Unless you're redshirted, fine. But, you know, talent, especially at that position, at quarterback. If you listen, you take the guy in Indianapolis, Richardson. Guy played 13 games and was a top 5 pick in the NFL. You know what I mean? So, again, when you have raw talent, they see that. They want that. They want to develop that. This kid, Castellanos, you know, he was decent up in Boston College. Definitely a guy who has some tricks up his sleeve. Smaller guy, runner. He's a good college player. I don't see him playing on Sundays in the NFL. I don't think as a passer he's that caliber of player. So why not stay in college? You can make millions in college in one season. You know, keep getting that check like Mel was saying, and see if you can help turn this team around. But yeah, 7 years is a lot. You know, we had posed this question regards to another athlete a few shows ago, and I was kind of on the fence. But when I think about it, no, boy, get out of college. Go get a job. Go play the UFL. Go to Europe, play some quarterback for one of these teams. But yeah, unless you have certain circumstances, he has to go.
Mel?
Yeah, I don't know. The ACC, I mean, they're just embarrassing themselves. I mean, they had an opportunity to go out there and prove it on the field. The guys couldn't get it done. The best teams, the teams that they were propping up, the teams that they want to be in the championship aren't getting it done. You're talking about Florida State. Now they're talking about, academic progress rate. I mean, they're just grasping at straws. And as far as Castellanos, I mean, he hasn't done anything since the Alabama game, to be honest with you. I mean, he came out talking, selling. I mean, he didn't sell wolf tickets. I mean, he talked and he backed it up, and he's like, okay, all right. And then after that, he just kind of went, it was downhill from there. So, and absolutely not. But I think Miami had a guy. I've seen some teams, man, guys 8, 9 years. I think some team had a guy that was, in his 9th year. We wanted to get out of college as fast as possible. We weren't trying to stay in college. These guys, and I understand why. I mean, there's a lot of money. There's a lot more money in college football than there is out there in the real world. And I get it. If he can stay, stay. Should he be allowed to stay? Absolutely not.
Well, here's what you have. I hope Florida State does get a bowl game of some kind because they're probably as good as any of the other ones that have them, number one. But here's the thing with Castellanos. I think he should be in the Canadian Football League. Let's not kid yourself. Warren Moon came out of there, and he did pretty well. Give the kid an opportunity to play up there, and if he could come down to the NFL, fine. I don't think he's going to get a job either there. United Football League or Canadian Football League, to me, are the right places for him to go. But I don't know. No. Well, I don't know. Here, I think, but Bell's right, though, Marvin. He hasn't done anything since the Alabama game. Well, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I don't know. I mean, Warren Moon when he retired from football, he was the all-time leading passer. If you combine CFL and NFL, he was the all-time leading passer in pro football history when he retired. Again, combining those two leagues, what he did. I don't know if I mention Tony Castellanos and Warren Moon in the same sentence, saying that Warren Moon did it. Warren Moon was great in high school, LA guy, was great at University of Washington. This is back before they really believed in
the Rose Bowl.
Getting black.
Yeah, but he was an undrafted quarterback, and that's why he went to Canada. Then he came down, and he got down here because he came with Hugh Campbell, his coach at Edmonton.
That's part of it. Yeah, he was undrafted. There's a reason why he was undrafted. I mean, there was nobody playing that position.
That's my point. You guys are making. You guys are
Scott,
making.
To your point, yes. I mean, that is an opportunity he should look at for sure. And I hope the kid makes it. Wherever his dream, I hope he makes it. But I just don't.
He's not as talented as Warren Moon either.
No.
Well, we know that, but the bottom line is Warren Moon was undrafted. That's all I'm saying.
Warren Moon was talented. It wasn't because of a lack of ability that Warren Moon was not drafted. That didn't have anything to do with it.
Right.
100%. Well, no, but the bottom line is he went to Canada and proved a lot of people wrong is all he did. Then he came back to the NFL, did well.
Yeah,
I know Tommy Castellanos couldn't even carry Warren Moon's jockstrap.
Not at all. I mean, the type of intestinal fortitude it takes to do that, the type of mental fortitude that you have to have in order to do that. You know that you should be playing out there, but because of things that are out of your control, you didn't get drafted. Now you have to go up north and play in Canada and prove all these people wrong, and then all of a sudden, people start recognizing you and taking notice, and then you're able to come back and do the things that he did. I mean, you have to be you have to be a special type of human being to do that.
Well, you're right. He played for the Washington Huskies, beat the Michigan Wolverines in the Rose Bowl, and all he did was prove everybody wrong, and he's in the Hall of Fame. Doesn't matter how you get. In fact, this guy's probably in not one but 2 Hall of Fame.
No, it does matter how you get there.
He got there, didn't he? He got there because of Hugh Campbell, his coach. His coach, I'm telling you, Hugh Campbell was a legendary coach up in Canada. And I agree, Mel. I mean, you guys are right. Warren Moon's a dynamite quarterback. He's done unbelievable stuff. But he started – lots of guys can't start in the Canadian Football League and wind up in the NFL. I mean, it does happen.
Joe Theismann, he was in the Canadian League for a little while, wasn't he?
Who?
Joe Theismann. Was he up there for a minute?
I'm not sure. In fact, you guys are giving me an idea. Maybe on another show, we're going to talk about some of the Canadian Football League rules and what they're trying to do to get back to the American game.
And to be honest with you, it really hadn't. I mean, there's only been a very few that have gone up to the Canadian Football League and dominated the way that Warren Moon did.
That ain't even a question. I mean, you're going to say that. You might as well say Doug Flutie did pretty well. They all thought he was too short, and he had that wide field, and he could run around like a gazelle. I mean, this guy, Doug Flutie, had fun with it. Here's an undersized midget that ran around there. He had more space to roam than horses do when it comes to grazing out there eating food. I mean, Doug Flutie was unbelievable up there. But no, you guys are right.
So, Mel, you are right. Joe Theismann did play in the Canadian Football League. He played for the Toronto Argonauts from 1971 to 73 before the Redskins in 74. Yes.
But I love Doug
that Trojan
Flutie,
didn't know that.
You got to stick it to Marvin.
Yeah,
Let's go to Dad Heat. I think the ACC has more of an admin commish problem than a team talent problem, more of that focus on basketball. True, there's no question. You're extremely right there, Dot Heat. Bingo, bullseye, however you want me to say it. Maybe they shouldn't have left an undefeated Florida State out and ruined the whole damn sport. You know what, Codizi, that's a topic we're going to address it probably in a couple shows on Inside the Pigskin on a Tuesday night, because I've got that one in my pipeline. So stay with us. And
had it expanded to 12 at that time when they left Florida State out, or was it just 4?
No, it was 4 at the time.
4.
Okay. But Codizi, if you haven't subscribed to our channel, please do so. But that is a topic we will talk about either on a Saturday or a Tuesday night. I almost like the Saturday show because everybody gets more time to talk about it then, as we continue to get Stephen Reichel back in rotation, where we can go ahead and allow him to talk on pro football. But you guys are so accurate, Dot Heat and Codizi, that you're already great minds think alike, and those are future topics. So stay with us and hope you're subscribed. So yeah, there's no question about that. Doug Flutie, Joe Theismann, good players are up there. There's no question about that. And again, the Canadian football. Again, the nicest part about the Saturday show, it gives us an opportunity to get creative and think outside the box. And that's why we're hoping to build an audience here at some point as we continue to work it. Great stuff by everybody in the panel. One more easy topic to get to about United Football League. We go to a station break. Is the UFL has parted ways with former Michigan Panthers head coach Mike Nolan. Can you see him back in the college and in the NFL? Because this guy is a proven coach who's obviously went to the United Football League, did a decent job with the Michigan Panthers. The only reason why the Panthers aren't there is they don't have a stadium. But I think they'll return in a couple of years when they get that new soccer stadium built in Southwest Detroit. But that's for another show as well. Well, let's talk about the qualifications of Mike Nolan. I think he's one of the best coaches out there. He's a veteran. With all these coaches out there, there's definitely a room for football. Candy?
I'd say, I mean, he's 66. He went to school in Oregon. He has had numerous coaching. Like if I went down the list, like you wouldn't want me to read all the different places he's been, but primarily he's been defensive coordinator. Yes, he was head coach for San Francisco 49ers, and yes, for the Michigan Panthers. I could totally see him coming back as a defensive coordinator in the league. There are a lot of defenses that could use his help right now, I think, and a defensive mind like he has, I could see him back in either the NFL or, you know, possibly a college coach. College has changed so much, so he would need to be able to work that realm, and maybe he could, but I could totally see him as a defensive coordinator.
What about you, Marvin?
Yeah, man. Listen, I like Mike Nolan, man. I like the fact that he's the coach that wears that suit, that 3-piece suit every game, really in honor of his dad, who was a coach. He said, I think he has a certain feel for the game. I think he has an old school approach. I think it's still relevant. The fact that he was coaching the Panthers, Michigan Panthers, lets you know he wants to coach and he's relating to these younger guys. It would not shock me at all to see him back coaching, as Kenny said, as a coordinator, whether it be in college or the pros. I think this guy has something left in the tank. Most importantly, he's passionate to be with these young men, impact these young men. So, yeah, this is somebody, listen, I'd love to see him on the Jets defensive staff. I'd love to see him on the Trojans defensive staff. I would. So, yeah, I could totally see him coming back into the game. And with his resume, who would deny him an opportunity? You know what I'm saying? In the NFL, it's about the more you know, resume, his perspective. He's coached at different levels. I mean, yeah, this guy definitely will make a comeback into football, college or pro.
Hey, Coach Jeezy, I just want to get back there for a moment here. That topic about Florida State getting beaten, that's a topic that may get there much quicker than anything else, because now you got my wheels turning. So thanks a lot for bringing that up. That's something I've been thinking about, and all of a sudden you mentioning it in the chat room definitely goes ahead and expedites the chance that this is going to get on. And since you tuned in on a Saturday, there's a chance it could get on a Saturday as well. Thanks for everybody being in the chat room. Really happy with the activity in the chat room as well. And Fatal 007 is definitely in here. We appreciate him as well. He says Duke 7-5, but only 2 conference losses like Miami. Okay, well, that's again, you're talking about a 5-way tie there. Miami needs to take care of business, and ACC have claimed to be top dog before excuses. Another great point by Fatah 007. I'll tell you, these comments that we're getting in here, everybody, these are really good comments from a lot of people. We appreciate everybody's participation. All right, go ahead, Mel. Talk about Dick.
You're talking about Mike, and Dick was his dad. I have a little different perspective on it. Way back in year of our Lord 1988, I was drafted by the Denver Broncos, and Mike Nolan, he was like a graduate assistant or assistant on the defensive side, and for whatever reason, I never liked the guy. And for whatever reason, and so that's kind of carried through the years. I've never viewed Mike Nolan as a great coach. I mean, all coaches probably get fired from their jobs, but I mean, I don't think all firings are the same. His defenses have never been that great. He wasn't a great head coach in San Francisco. It doesn't surprise me that he's being let go from the UFL. Will he get another job? More than likely so, because he does have the name. I mean, the name Nolan carries a lot of weight in the NFL, obviously because of his father. And I think he's best suited. I'd love for him to be defensive coordinator at USC. I would love for that to happen. Then we'd probably have a pretty good chance of beating USC. But his best role would probably be to serve as an analyst, because as Marvin noted, he does have a lot of knowledge. I mean, he's been around the game for a long time. Like I said, it was 1988, and I think that was his first or second year. He was like a quality control coach or something like that. So he's been around for a very long time. He's seen a lot, but his defenses really are not that. They're not that advanced. He's never really had great defenses or anything like that. So I don't see him. Again, it's relational. All those jobs are relational. So if he has a relationship with somebody, he'll get a job. Otherwise, I think he'd be best served as an analyst because of the knowledge that he could bring. Just all the things that he's seen. There's probably nothing out there that he has not seen. But he's old school. I mean, these young whippersnappers, man, they're different, man, as far as how they operate offenses versus how they are operating offenses back when he first started.
No question. Katie, you're going to have to get some of these comments up there so that everybody on YouTube can see them, because these guys are making, and you can go up even further than that. These Codizi and Bada.
I did. You just missed one. I put them up there.
I missed one. Okay. These guys are coming up with some great bombs here, and I want everybody on YouTube to see that these two guys, I hope we'll see them more often, because they're making some unbelievable comments, and I think they should be visual and seen all over the world. So let everybody know. We're going to go to a station break after Candy gets these up, and everybody else can talk about them if they want to. That's true, but the tiebreaker rule is dumb. It goes off on opponent's win percentage. You don't have to beat these teams, just play them. LOL, but great minds think alike. Dat head bullseye. All right, Candy, station break. 3 more topics plus positions as we continue to roll on Inside the Pick. And happy Saturday morning, everybody. And I want to wish my dad once again a happy birthday yesterday. And obviously my mother's birthday is tomorrow, my late mother. So Dad, happy birthday. And Candy, again, she celebrated her all week with December the 3rd. Go ahead, Candy, station break time.
South Florida Tribune Publishing Company published a book, Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. It is written by our host, Scott, the Motor City Madmouth Morganroth, talks about his 40-plus years in the industry and how it has evolved and changed. Old school media versus new school media. If you know anybody that wants to get into that kind of medium, this is the book, the gift idea for them for the holidays. Go get it. It's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Google, and Apple Books. There's also a link on our website, www.southfloridatribune.com, where there is a plethora of great content, so go check it out. If you like to listen to podcasts, you can find us wherever you get your podcast. If you want to be a guest, or you have topic ideas, or you want to sponsor a show or advertise, you can email us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. Last but not least, if you see that red subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner, that means you have not yet subscribed to us. Please do so. Tell all your friends and family that you think would enjoy. We're trying to get to 1 million views by the end of the year, so help us. Last but not least, turn on those notifications so you're notified anytime we go live. Back to you, Scott.
Well done, Candy. Dad Heat. Yeah. Go ahead. Put it up, Candy. Read it.
Yeah, that is a hella dumb and need to change. Too many legacy teams in the ACC.
Great stuff, Cat. Keep it going. Appreciate you guys. All right. Let's move on to a topic that Candy's all too familiar with, and so are we by now. And that's that Luke Fickel is returning to coach at the University of Wisconsin in 2026. Athletic director Chris McIntosh tells ESPN the decision comes with a significant increase in financial investment. And like I said, Luke Fickel is returning. Candy, obviously, you're not a proponent of this, but let's give us your opinion. Now you have a chance to voice it once and for all.
I've been really harsh on Luke Fickel, and I'll be the first to admit that. I've said that, I think he should be gone. But in his defense, his quarterback, the first string quarterback that he's recruited or that he has had for each of his time for the years that he's been there, has gone down early in every season. So at this point, like this season, he was on his fourth string quarterback, a freshman quarterback. Now, to deal with the likes of and play Ohio State, Michigan, and be competitive with those, it's hard. You tell me what teams, if they go down to their fourth string quarterback, are going to be relevant in the NIL time where they're paying millions to the first string quarterbacks and they're playing against them. It's hard. So I have to give him a little bit of leeway, I guess. And part of the thing is, it'll be interesting to see, knowing the record they had, knowing that they had such a success in bowl games and have been out of bowl games, how he recruits this year. This will be very telling, because if he can recruit some good talent, then obviously his name does something. Maybe he can recruit, but if he doesn't, he should be out.
Okay, that's good. I'm glad you have a chance to get it out there. Bucky Badger, say a few prayers that Luke Fickel didn't take a dumb pill when he went to Wisconsin, but he's won everywhere else. Okay, go ahead, Marvin.
Yeah, Luke Fickel, this is a guy, he had Cincinnati somewhat relevant. He had them tough out there playing and winning a few games. And then obviously, in that situation where you have a lower tier program winning and competitive and relevant, you move up. Wisconsin was a program that signed him up, signed up for him. And, listen, I'm all for all the reasons Kenny just mentioned at their quarterback position. I'm all for bringing this guy back. You need continuity. You need some kind of stability to build a program. You know what I mean? And listen, the reason he got the job is because their program wasn't doing great. So the reality is, depending upon how big of a hole you're in, it's going to take a minute to get out. What we're seeing in Indiana with Kurt Signati, the instant turnaround, the instant payback, that's an anomaly. That doesn't happen everywhere and anywhere. Matter of fact, I don't know if it's ever happened before, especially in this NIL era where all of a sudden, a school like Indiana, who you never even heard of, is out here competing for championships. Luke Fickel can coach. He's proven he can coach. Getting your NIL set up, getting your GM situation set up. It's a new thing for these schools. Schools are having to adapt to a way of life that they haven't done before. You know what I mean? Listen, Lincoln Riley's been at USC for 4 or 5 years now. They're just now getting set up correctly. So, Fickel can coach. If you fire him, he'll be the next coach to go to James Madison and go undefeated, or go to Colorado and win 10 games. So you have a guy. Just get your program together, get everything set up the way it needs to be, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, he did an amazing job with the Cincinnati Bearcats. He did him to the final
coach.
This guy is a good coach. I'm telling you, Wisconsin people are so used to Barry Alvarez and all these other guys. And you had some good coaches up there, but this Luke Fickel, give him a break. Give him a quarterback. Give him some money up there.
Exactly.
Obviously, Jonathan Taylor's a product of this system. You guys are so used to running backs. This guy brings a pro offense. So, look, Candy, I know you always tell me to relax. I think I need to tell you, relax. Okay, don't expect me to tell her that, because I'm bad at it than anybody. All right, Mel, get me off the hook here, because I'm going to get hammered later anyway. So this comment.
All right, I'm just trying to see. I'm trying to see if my memory serves me correctly. I think Luke Fickel was at Ohio State on the staff at Ohio State before he got the Cincinnati
was there
job.
for 1 year. I think as an interim coach, he was like 6-6 there, but then he remained
Right.
with Urban Meyer. Okay, go ahead.
And he replaced Brian Kelly at
Right.
Cincinnati. So I think what's frustrating is Wisconsin has had some success. Now I think Wisconsin is realistic and they understand who they are. Now they've had success with Barry Alvarez, and then who was it? Brett Bielema, who was successful there, and then he bolted and took the Arkansas job. I don't know if there's somebody in between Brett Bielema and Luke Fickell. I can't remember if there's somebody.
Wasn't it Gary Anderson? I think
there was somebody else in there in between, and then Luke Fickell came along. And what he has done, he was able to take Brian, build upon what Brian Kelly did at Cincinnati, and he's not been able to build upon the greatness that was there prior to him getting to Wisconsin.
Right.
Wisconsin understands who they are. They understand that they should be able to compete for Big Ten championships. I think that's what they're looking at. They should be able to compete for Big Ten championships because they have done that, and they've done that. Not every year, but they should be in the conversation for the Big Ten championship. Not necessarily the national championship. If they can get in there once every decade, I think that'll be great. But I think Wisconsin understands who they are, and I like the point, as far as continuity that Marvin brought up. Yeah, I mean, what's important? I mean, is it just about wins and losses, or is it about developing young men and having productive citizens out there in the community? I know USC, it's just all about wins and losses. They don't care about putting out good citizens. But I think in Wisconsin, they I think they understand who they are, and I think it was great on their part that they kept him, because I think it shows something to the student athletes that are there and the student athletes that want to come to Wisconsin. Obviously he's got to win more games. He's under a lot of pressure. All those jobs are, full of pressure. But I think that Wisconsin is realistic in their expectations that, hey, we just want to be in the conversation for Big Ten championships. And if you can do that for us, then you can stay here as long as you want.
All right, Katie, go back to the chat room. We got Fado once again talking about Ole Miss and Miami, and that's an interesting topic. We'll go on to the next topic. I'll give these guys their due. Ole Miss ain't played 4 top teams in the SEC and might have a first round bye. Miami played 4 ranked teams, CFP ranked, and no dog in the fight. Well, there you go. I'll let these guys go out there and speak for us, because they obviously follow the game well enough. So great stuff by all you guys in the chat room. Much appreciated. Shady, you're almost like the unofficial host with us as well, because you're doing an awesome job. All right, let's continue on. You talk. So I think Wisconsin's making the right move, keeping Luke Fickell. I do believe, even though they've lost, haven't been to a couple bowl games, they'll get back, and they'll get back sooner than most people think. At least loyalty matters in this case. Right, we'll talk about continuity. We'll talk about it in Baylor, as Baylor announces that head coach Dave Aranda will obviously return for next season. Aranda both has a 36-35 record and a 6th season with the Bears. All right, Candy. Again, this is one of those situations where a mediocre team, a good coach, and Baylor's sticking with their guy in a year that's. I'm going to tell you one thing before I turn over to Candy, and it really is something I really feel about. Okay. One of our biggest contributors is Steve Reichel. I feel bad he hasn't been on as many Tuesday shows, because we've been really inundated with so much college stuff. It's my goal with this Saturday show to get Steven on much faster as we address some of the tough college topics, and I feel we have the right group here to be able to address them. So, Steve, if you're watching out there, we tell you what, I'm working diligently to get you back on, but we have to address the news of the day. So with that said, let's stay on point with Dave Aranda. Candy, this guy, at least I'm glad Baylor's sticking with this guy. He's a heck of a coach.
I agree. I think for some of the reasons that Marvin talked about Luke Fickell, I think can be applied here. I think they have to get used to the NIL era, and they have to get everything in place. I mean, he's been coaching there since 2020, I believe it is. He has a 36-37 record, but when he first took over back in the spring, let me think. In 2021, he led the Bears to their best season in school history. The Bears were ranked in the top 25 for the majority of the 2021 football season and finished with a 12-2 record. But then enter really the NIL era and everybody else, and trying to navigate that whole system and how to get the right money, the right recruits, put it all together to get your program where you need it to be. For the same reasons Marvin talked about Luke Fickell, I think they got to do the same with Dave, and I guess I'm glad they're doing that.
Yeah, and I think your record probably includes bowl games as well. And I only went with regular season. Either way, he's hovering around the 500 mark. We'll leave it at that.
It was 7-2 in Big 12 play.
Oh, is that what?
That
okay. Regardless, he's around the mediocre mark. But the thing is they've stayed with their guy, and more power to Baylor. Go ahead, Marvin.
Listen, just to kind of put it in perspective, Dave Aranda was considered for the USC job. His name was floating out there for the USC job before USC hired Lincoln Riley. Yeah, in USC chat rooms, USC community, and it was leaking from somewhere. They were looking at Dave Aranda. So listen, not to toot our own horn, but I mean, SC has a desire to recruit and sign the best and most elite coaches. If he's on that list, that tells me a lot. With that said, Kenny just told you they've had the best season in program history. Who's Baylor? You haven't heard of Baylor since Mike Singletary. You know what I'm saying? So, even though they're in Texas, tons of high school talent out there, they're competing against Texas and Texas A&M and Houston. So it's not easy out there, man. But again, like Kenny alluded to, they got to get their NIL program together. It's a big deal. I'm sure they have money. If you fire Dave Aranda, he would be hired within a week somewhere else. Okay, so he's young enough, experienced enough. He's been through the fire with Baylor. It makes sense that you allow that guy to stay so he can kind of finish the job. You know what I'm saying? So, I hate to see these programs that are mid-majors, not really relevant, hold these coaches to the highest of standard, as if they're getting these coaches all the support and everything that they need. That's not really the case, I don't think. So good move by Baylor to keep the guy. Again, continuity matters. You're trying to build a program. You're preaching family to these kids. You're preaching family to these parents. So, through the good and the bad, as long as this guy has fire in him and these kids are motivated and you got some recruits coming in, keep them.
Mel?
I really couldn't say it better than the gentleman from SC. I mean, he said it perfectly. I mean, I agree with him 100%. Baylor's in Texas. They're not Texas. They're not Texas A&M. They're not Texas Tech. I'm sure they have some money there. And like Marvin said, I mean, I never heard of Baylor. I mean, the only football player that I know that's gone to Baylor is Mike Singletary. That's right. It. Baylor's, they've never been on the radar as far as a football program. Now, they may have done some things in basketball, but as far as football, they have to understand who they are. They got the right guy there. Who are you going to replace him with? You go ahead and get rid of him. Who are you going to replace him with? Then what is he going to do? What is he going to be asking for? Are you going to give him more support than you gave the guy who's there right now? And he seems to be a great guy. And like Marvin said, you're preaching family, you're preaching all these things. Sometimes you just gotta dance with the girl that you brought to the dance. And I think that they're making wise decisions. Understand who you are. Understand what your resources are and what your expectations are, and then you just have to keep it moving.
Well, see, that's what's refreshing about what we're doing today, okay? We've talked about Luke Fickell, and now we're talking about Dave Aranda. And we're talking about two programs that have stayed with their guy. There's so much, to me, what I've seen this year is insane. All these coaching turnovers. Lots of guys shouldn't have lost their job, but because of the impatience and the nature of the program they have. But I'm going to say this: kudos to Wisconsin and Baylor for sticking with their guy. I believe that their patience is going to ultimately pay off by sticking with these two individuals. They didn't take dumb pills when they went to these respective universities.
Like, you think Penn State upgraded their coach?
I don't know. We'll save that for another night. Okay, in order to keep on pace. That's a great teaser for everybody to think about. Do I think they upgraded? I'll tell you one thing. They're lucky they got this guy, because there aren't too many people that really wanted to take
How do you feel
job.
if you're this? How do you feel if you're him? What all the talk was, like, oh, okay, it's just like we had to settle for this guy.
Well, sometimes the one you settle for end up turning out to be your best choices too, whether you know it or not. I've seen crazier things like that happen.
Pete Carroll was our sixth choice at USC when we hired him. We went through 5 interviews, 5 guys that we wanted before we settled on Pete Carroll. I'll leave it at that.
And you know what?
Pete Carroll was a stretch at that time, to be honest with you. Really, I mean, he hadn't done anything in the NFL. I was like, they hired Pete Carroll?
Yeah, well, he had experience with the Jets and the Patriots.
Yeah, but he wasn't winning. He got fired.
Well, Well, let's face reality. On this Saturday show, we're going to have boxing matches between you two all the time. That's what makes it such an entertaining
I'm just
show.
saying. I mean, it was a head scratcher when they hired him. Really, it was a head scratcher.
Yeah, but if it's in one thing with you two, it's another. There's got to be mini boxing.
Marvin's trying to make it like they're a genius. No, they got lucky.
Well, it didn't work out too badly for all they did was get a national championship out of it. It's so bad. No, but
they got lucky. Fun. It worked out. Pete was able to relate it to the kids.
Listen, I'm enjoying the banter between you two guys. Now I got Marvin texting Mel to come on Saturday. I don't have to do it anymore. This shows you what we got here on Saturday, people. These two guys want to be on. I have a 4-way text probably headed by the end of the day, knowing that now we're getting an audience because of these two. They're not watching because of me. They just wonder, well, I'll tell you, when is it loudmouth going to shut up? Well, it's really not part of the brand here if I do, because somebody's got to go ahead and be the quarterback of this group. But you guys are finding ways to put UCLA and USC in everything a little, and I think it's entertaining. I think it's awesome, baby. I'm telling you, you guys are unbelievable.
You are the quarterback. You remind me of Caleb Williams, Carson Palmer. You remind me of you do. Matt Leinart. That's who you remind me of. Greatness.
Oh, I like being compared to those people. I can't.
Rodney Pete.
I like Rodney Pete. I got to know him when he was in Detroit, by the way. Great stuff. Yeah, but you guys are unbelievable. Mel and Marvin, I'll tell you what, this show we got, I'll tell you, if we continue doing this on Saturdays, this is the 4 people. I am not inviting nobody on the show except the 4 of us. That's it. We're building something here. Everybody, 8:30 in the morning, join us. We'll make sure you have all the football fill you can have, what we don't do on Tuesday. You guys are Melvin, Mel, and Marvin. I tell you, you two are unbelievable together. You guys are building something here. All I got to do is not screw it up. All right. With that said, let's go back to the Miami Hurricanes. Their 1% drop-off since 2022 was actually 774 in August and October, 286 in November and December. They were 488 drop-off, the highest in FBS during that span. But guess what? The Miami Hurricanes actually were 4-1 this November, and their only loss was to SMU on November 1st. They changed the narrative, but I don't know if that's going to be enough to get them in, Candy, but at least they ended up cleaning it up in November, and they whipped Pittsburgh. And let me make one other point about Pittsburgh. Pat Narduzzi was asked the other day who he thinks should get in between Miami and Notre Dame, and he said Miami should get in because Miami's a much better football team. They're more powerful and so forth. So
he's a company guy.
Well, that too. Oh, that's good. All right, Mel, you know what? You lead off with this one. Oh, he's going out there checking the grandkid. I don't know if he is. All right, well, Candy, go ahead. He'll be back in the saddle in a moment. Let's talk about the Miami Hurricanes, and we'll pick up on the Narduzzi thing probably on Tuesday night, but I just thought I'd throw that out there. Candy, let's talk about the Canes, the fact that this November has been pretty good for them.
Okay, so if you look at the 5 games they played in November, and they played 5, there was 5 Saturdays in November. Yes, they lost to SMU the first week. That went into overtime, though, so it wasn't like they were blown out. It wasn't like they lost in regulation. They lost in overtime. And then the next week they went out and they beat Syracuse 38-10, North Carolina State University 41-7, Virginia Tech 34-17, and Pittsburgh at Pittsburgh, mind you. And mind you, of their 5 games, 3 of them were on the road in November as well. They beat Pitt, who was ranked 22nd, 38-7. So 4 of those games they won. They won by what I would say more convincing numbers, and on the road. All of that matters, or should. But let's face it, the one stat that if you're going to preach that head-to-head matchups matter, you have to look at that first game. I don't care when it was in the season. You got to put that in there because it was a head-to-head matchup. So you got to look at that. So then you got to give Miami the edge because Miami did beat them. And that's got to matter. And if it doesn't, then don't put it in there and don't say you're going to use head-to-head matchups at all. And yes, Mel, I know you talked earlier that Notre Dame was down to what quarterback at that time and stuff like that. But it's based on the team that you put on that field. And that, hey, Wisconsin, Luke Fickell, 4th quarterback. Hey, we got to look at who was on that field, who played, and what they've done.
You know, you were hard on them earlier. I told you that they're down to their fourth and fifth quarterback. Give me a break, Candy. But I'll tell you one thing. Of all the women I've ever been around, and I've been around a lot of them, I've never seen anybody know more football than you. You're definitely. Let me tell you, you're definitely in a zone of your own, Candy. I've never seen a woman know this much about football than this girl. She's a jack of all trades. She produces every show. She puts them up there for us, and she does everything. And now she's on the air. There's a commentator, and she talks about this stuff like she's a tomboy, and she's damn good at it. All right, Marvin, take it from there. All right, Candy, I could be your promoter. You just make sure all this stuff goes up so I don't look too stupid and sound bad. Go ahead, Marvin.
Yeah, no doubt, Scott. You definitely found gold with Candy. She's
she's unbelievable. And to think I found her plenty of fish, and she's a Packers girl in Lions. That's another story we'll divulge later.
Hey, the internet's where you find people. That's where Steve found me on the internet. It is what it is. Listen, we had spoke a couple of weeks ago, I think, about how horrific Miami's record was in November. So when you're talking about making a playoff run, making a championship run, you got to be good in the fall. You got to be good late in the fall. You do. You have to be good towards the second half of that season. And 4-1, I think we said the record was that's acceptable. You absolutely will take that in November when you're playing competitive games, playing good teams. And it's listen, for many reasons, because they are a ranked team, a highly ranked team, because they do have that prestige, you're going to get everybody's best shot. When plays anybody, I mean, it's going to be their second, or it's going to be the other team's second or third most important game, without question, just because it's the Canes. So, listen, Mario's turning this thing around. It's a process. It's not overnight. Again, what we're seeing with Indiana is not normal. Miami's on their way, and if they can continue to win games second half of the year, late going toward the end of the season, they should be competitive and they should be a playoff team moving forward.
No,
I mean, look, the ACC is not what it is a different conference than it was when Miami was dominating the college landscape. The ACC has changed. Back then, it was just Miami and Florida State, pretty much. Now, you have other teams there. It's a lot more competitive, and then you're playing Notre Dame. Now, everybody keep saying this about Notre Dame is a big brand. We understand that. That's the brand. You talk about, everybody playing their best for, plays up to Miami. You don't think they play it for Notre Dame? I mean, Notre Dame's got a lot of history. I mean, they've heard a lot of stories about Notre Dame, Rudy, the Four Horsemen, all the different, touchdown Jesus. I mean, playing up there in that stadium. I mean, there's a lot of history. Pardon me?
The Bush push. Don't forget the Bush push. That's part of the history too.
There's a lot of history. With Notre Dame, people look forward to playing against Notre Dame, and should head-to-head matter? Absolutely. When you play makes a difference. How you played after that loss, all that stuff makes a difference. Is there some bias in that room? 100%, absolutely. So you're going to get all that when you have the human element involved. So Miami had an opportunity. They paid a lot of money for the quarterback. I think they thought they were going to run the table this year, and then we wouldn't be having this conversation. But unfortunately, the teams that they scheduled, they didn't realize that Miami was supposed to run the table. They're like, hey, we're here too. If you guys want it, you're gonna have to come. You're gonna have to come take it. You're gonna have to get it. We're just not going to give it to you. And they ran into some tough matchups. Some teams that they probably should have had a little easier time beating. SMU and Louisville showed up and say, hey, we're just not going to lay down because of you. You're UM. We are who we are. And, we're going to give you our best. And we're going to, when the dust settles, we're going to look at the scoreboard and we're going to have more points on the board than you. And I think, Miami ran into a couple of those situations this year. And now they're just having to, hope and pray that they have an opportunity to continue their season in the college playoffs.
Well, there's no question.
They get a bowl game, they get a bowl game.
Well, I'm looking forward. I just hope we can get. I'm looking forward to get there. Let me put a couple things out on the table. From what I hear, I believe they're supposed to play. They've actually scheduled a game with Notre Dame. I believe November 7th next year. I don't know for sure if indeed that game is scheduled. Mark my word. Tomboy and I are probably going to go out there and get a ticket up there and go. I've always wanted to go to South Bend and go to a Notre Dame game, and it's on my bucket list. You heard that last night on our other show, Marvin, that's a place I need to get to. And the tomboy here, we're just going to call her the tomboy going forward.
Scott, I'm going to be honest. It's an overrated experience. All right.
Is it really? I still got to get there.
Well, you played there, right, Marvin?
I've won there. Say it right. I've won there.
Okay,
Say
we
it
didn't
right.
ask all that. We just asked you just played there. So Scott, here's the thing, Scott. When you go to watch a game there, I went to watch UCLA play out there one year. And you fly into Chicago, then you got to take the train ride. You got to take the train to South Bend. I think it's like a 45-minute train ride to South Bend. It's the experience. Go to a nice little sports bar while you're in Chicago. Get yourself ready for the train ride. Then take the train ride over to South Bend. And I can't remember what happens after that. You walk or whatever, but you got to take the train ride from Chicago into South Bend.
Yeah, but I'm not going there as a fan. I'm going to hit my man out, Cameron Gorby. I'm saying, hey, do me a favor. You got my back.
You got to have the fan experience.
I don't need the fan experience. I don't know what it is to be a fan.
Just sitting in the stadium,
no, I don't.
And seeing touchdown Jesus, seeing.
Listen, touchdown Jesus, hell, I'm Jewish. I don't mind Jesus too. It don't make any difference. I respect them all. I really do. Jesus, God, I love them all. But listen, I'm a Moses guy too. There's a little bit of every bit of that stuff. But when I go ahead and talk to Cameron Gorby, Cam always has my back. He'll get me in there. All you got to do is send me the damn link, and we'll go. We'll go up there. He knows that. He even said to me earlier, boy, I tell you, like having you around with your energy. Of course, with some of the controversy I've caused around the building, he still don't mind it because as long as I'm away from him and Cristobal, the guy's not going to have a heart attack at the age of 40 or 50 anyway. But I ain't going there to sit in the stand and be a fan. I'm way past that. I'm a reporter. I go out there and take my microphone, stick it in their ear, and hopefully I don't run across too many Dave Dorans that I'm going to bury at ACC.
Well, it's a good experience. It's something, it's on your bucket list. You're a sports reporter. You're a football fanatic. That's definitely a place that you should go to.
Well, I plan that game's on that schedule, November 7th. It is on my bucket list. The only thing that'll stop me.
It was on my bucket list. That's the only reason why I went. It was on my bucket list.
It is on a bucket list. I got a lot of things on my bucket list there. Just because I have this stupid Alzheimer's, they ain't slowing me down for a couple of years. Hell, Ronald Reagan lived 10 years with this thing. I think I got a few left anyway. I have to. I got to mentor you guys in this business. I got Marvin. I got Mel. I got Ben Troop. I got all you athletes I have to mentor in this business. I can't leave you guys right away. I got some unfinished business to do with you guys. But no, I want to get up there. I got a lot of things on my bag of tricks. And one of them is going out there and getting into a boxing match with Dave Doran, whether it's at a bowl game or at ACC Media Day. And you know why I'm looking at ACC Media Day? That way I can embarrass him in front of the whole world, including Jennifer Matthews Lewis up there, watch me knock this bum out once and for all. I'll tell you, I've had a lot of caffeine this morning, and I'm telling you, people, I'm going to bury this bum. Dave Doran, the Motor City Man Mountain's coming after you, pal. But meanwhile, I'm going up to see Touchdown Jesus, and I'll tell you, I don't know how to do that religion sign. I'll have to go back to the family and learn how to do it. But the Jewish Motor City Mad Mouth, or whatever the hell you want to call me, is going up to Notre Dame if God lets me. God, I love you, and amen. I've said what I had to say here. But no, I plan to get up there. All right, now that I got that off my chest, okay, we do have time for some predictions. I want to make sure Marvin gets out here on time. So let's go to a prediction for Saturday night's matchup.
Scott, you want to address the chat room? There's a question.
04 Trojans 2001 Hurricanes Julio. God, you know what? At 2000.
We know what Marvin's going to say.
Hold on.
Why are you even thinking about it?
Well, hold on. I'm objective.
Okay. Okay. We'll see.
Yeah, right.
No, listen. 2001 Hurricanes team, arguably the greatest collection of players ever. If you look at that roster, they got all pros playing on special teams. They got first-round draft picks who were second and third string. You know what I'm saying? USC had an amazing starting 11 on defense and offense, led by Matt Leinart, Reggie Bush. I mean, this was Dwayne Jarrett. We're talking about elite college players. You probably give that to the Canes just because of the totality of athletes in that roster.
Hey, Joseph, this guy Marvin just proved he really is objective. He's got that Trojan banner behind, and he gives it to the Canes. Yeah. That's objectivity, and I'm not even going to answer it because he did it.
And Reggie Bush is the best player on the field, but still, I mean, and that's a tough but fun conversation to have. But them Canes in 01 was the real deal.
There you go. Here you have it. Got that one rest. And I'll tell you, that is objectivity if I ever saw you. I trained you well, Marvin. I've trained him well, and Ben Troop. Great stuff.
That was for Mel. So when I'm talking to Mel, I'm being honest. Things I say to Mel about Mel are the truth. Okay, not emotional. It's all the truth. I just proved it.
I'll tell you, this is an entertaining bunch. All right, time to get to predictions. But we're going to do these in rapid fire. We don't need any scores because how many people know about all these anyway. Just give me teams in this situation, and we'll be able to he definitely objected, but what a game it was. That's for sure. I'll tell you, these are great programs, Miami and USC, and we'll keep it there. I'll tell you, this Saturday stuff's a whole lot of fun. I'll tell you. So, all right, let's talk about another Miami team. We're going to go to Saturday's matchup. Miami of Ohio takes on Western Michigan. Candy, who do you have?
Western Michigan.
Okay. What about you, Marvin?
I would take Miami of Ohio.
Okay. Mel?
I'm going to go with Miami of Ohio.
I'm going with Western Michigan. Hey, Western Michigan won the NCAA men's hockey tournament. They could definitely beat Miami of Ohio. Why not? Got to get the hockey thing a little bit of a plug. All right. Number 11, BYU against number 4, Texas Tech. Candy, who do you have?
Texas Tech.
Marvin?
I'm going to go BYU. I'm going to go BYU.
Mel?
I'm going to go Texas Tech.
It breaks my heart to go with BYU. It means Miami will be out, but I'm picking these games. That doesn't mean I have to root for them, but I am BYU as well. Number 3, Georgia against number 9, Alabama. Candace?
I'm going to go Alabama.
What about you, Marvin?
I think it's tough to beat a team twice, especially when you guys are so even. I got to go Georgia.
Mel?
Oh man, I'm gonna go Alabama. That's mentally what I would like to see happen. But I think Georgia will probably win. But
all right, wait, now you're waffling. Give me one or the other. Nice.
Waffling.
That's what running backs do anyway. Give me one or the other.
My heart doesn't want to choose Georgia, so I'm sorry.
Well, give me the one. You got more moves than Barry Sanders with this question.
Georgia will win the game.
Okay, good enough.
Tough.
Thank you very much. Well, it took me 3 or 4 times to get out of here. I'm going Georgia too. Okay, Indiana against Ohio State. Indiana in Indianapolis. If that isn't a decided home field advantage, I don't know what. And a little trivia: Candy was born in Indiana, Hammond, Indiana, even though she claims she's a Wisconsin girl. We'll see where her head's really at with this one.
I think Ohio State's playing tough. I think Ohio State's going to take it.
Not going with her home state. Okay, go ahead, Marvin.
I got to take Ohio State, unfortunately.
What you, Mel?
I'm taking Indiana.
You know what? So am I. I'm going with Indiana, too. I like the story. Indiana, definitely a big home field advantage over at the Lucas Oil Field. I like the Hoosiers. I think they're going to go 13-0, and we'll see what happens in the college football playoff. Well, boy, Kurt Cignetti's been an unbelievable story. Final game. Well, we've been talking about it all morning. We'll might as well end with it this way. Duke, which is unranked against number 17, Virginia, ACC. Those, just so you know that the MAC championship start with Miami of Ohio starts at noon. Number 11, BYU against Texas starts at noon. Georgia, Alabama, 4 o'clock. Indiana, Ohio State at 8. And the final one, Duke against unranked number 17 versus number 17, ACC, Virginia. All right, Candy.
Virginia.
What about you, Marvin?
Listen, I was impressed with those losses that Mel read off for Duke. I'm going to take Duke in this. I think they're battle tested, ready to roll.
Okay, what about you, Mel?
Virginia.
I don't know why I have a gut feeling about this one, but I'm going with Duke. I don't know why. For some reason, I just cringe when I think that Manny Diaz has a chance to do some Mario Cristobal hadn't done, and that's one in ACC. So I could be wrong.
That would be great.
It would be, but don't tell me that in Miami, since I have to deal with it with the Canes and all the people I have to deal with. I got ridiculed one time for asking a player about the turnover chain, and then the PR guy says, "You better not ask it to Mario." I didn't. I had a different question, but I didn't. The turnover chain is what you call a not a good thing to talk about. What Manny Diaz? I'll never mention turnover chain in Miami, but don't think that Manny doesn't have it up there. All right, Patrick McKeever says Roll Tide. Well, obviously Roll Tide is what it is. So that does it for this edition of Inside the Pigskin, but we're not quite done yet. Katie, why don't you give us one more station break? We're going to let Marvin and Mel go ahead. Everybody know they get a hold of us, and we'll do this show again Tuesday night. And hopefully, if you've got everybody's interested, we can do it on Saturday morning. It depends on what they think about it. But I'm going to tell Marvin and Mel while we're live the results in the chat room. definitely say there's a demand. It's just a matter of whether we're able to do it. We'll want to do it. But I'm really delighted with what I've seen these last 2 Saturday mornings. Candy, station break one more time.
South Florida Tribune Publishing Company published the book, Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. It is written by our host, Scott, the Motor City Madmouth Morganroth. Talks about his 40-plus years in the industry and how it's changed. He has some great stories in there. He talks about a college professor that he proves wrong. Go check out the book. There's a picture of him with Muhammad Ali, Tommy Lasorda. He's interviewed numerous people. Go check out the book to get stories. It's a great gift idea for the holidays. It's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Google, and Apple Books. There's also a link on our website, www.southfloridatribune.com, where there's a plethora of great content, so go check it out. If you like to listen to podcasts, you can find us wherever you get your podcast. If you want to advertise or sponsor a show or be a guest, you can always email us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. If you see that red subscribe button in that lower right-hand corner and that means you have not yet subscribed to our channel. I don't understand why. I really don't. Just do it. Click it, like us, share us, and then turn on your notifications, and then you're notified every time we go live. And you can watch great programming that we have on this channel. Monday nights we talk baseball. Tuesday nights we talk football. Wednesday nights on Sports Exchange, you really never know what Scott's got up his bag of tricks. And I mean never, because he's talked about everything from, flag football to hot dog eating contests to NFL, NHL, NBA. Like, it's all encompassing. So go check that show out as well. Thursday nights, Sports Wrap is a hockey show. And then there's Fire Up, which is my country club, as Scott likes to call it. You never know what we're going to talk about, but we primarily have been talking about football, especially lately. So check out our channel. Turn on that notification so you're notified every time we go live. During the baseball season, we did set some Saturday mornings for baseball. Now during football, we're doing some Saturday morning football. Who doesn't love that? I mean, we're replacing college game day, right, guys?
That's it. Say it loud.
Hey, by the way, Candy, put this comment up from Patrick McKeever. This one's excellent. Miami has a legitimate beef with Notre Dame. This is really, really good, too. At least Miami was available for a conference championship. Notre Dame needs credited with a loss for not playing in one. I remember when Notre Dame got it handed to them. Didn't they play Clemson a few years ago, and it wasn't a very good outcome? Or I don't remember how that turned out. But should we put handicap stickers on Notre Dame? How much I can tell Patrick doesn't really quite like Notre Dame. That's why we started the show off the way we did. Great stuff. I hope all you new people in the chat room would please kindly subscribe to our channel, because everything you guys have put in the chat room is fantastic, and we want to make sure that you're on every show that we can, particularly football. We know how knowledgeable you are as well. Thanks to everybody's participation. All right, Marvin, go ahead.
Is this goodbye? The goodbye segment?
Well, just let everybody know how they get a hold of you.
Yeah, you can get a hold of me. I'm with the South. I'm fortunate to be with the South Florida Tribune Tuesday evenings, Wednesday mornings, Wednesday evenings, and now Saturday mornings. You can catch me on all my social media, Marvin Powell III, Marvin on the mic, and you can catch me on Locked On USC twice a week, typically Mondays and Fridays.
And also in 2026, Marvin and I are going to have our own show to be determined. We're going to go out there and work out some of the things that we're going to work out as time goes on. Marvin and the Mike and the Motor City Madmouth, you can't miss. And anybody that wants to come on is welcome to come on there. I guarantee we'll make it anything but boring. All right, Mal, you're out my superstar running back, and make sure you let me know about your fundraisers. Go ahead, Mal.
Yeah, you can see it all there. Find me on all the social media at Mel Farr Jr. And then follow what we have going on here for the youth here in Georgia, and also in Michigan at Mel Farr, superstarfoundation.org.
Great stuff. That does it for this edition of Inside Depiction, the AM edition. Hope everybody enjoys the weekend, enjoys the football. If we're wrong, won't be the first time, won't be the last time. But I guarantee you one thing, we gave you our best insights that we could. And as much information as possible, we'll pick it up on Tuesday. And my goal is to continue this thing going on Saturday, providing everybody wants to continue doing it. But the first 2 weeks that we've done on Saturday have been a smashing success. And anytime you find something good, you want to keep building on it. And if it weren't for you people in the chat room, you guys, this show went a little bit longer because everybody had some outstanding comments in here. So peace, love, bacon grease, roll. Okay, whatever. If that's what makes you happy, but we enjoyed rolling with you too, Patrick McKeever. So on behalf of, this is Scott Morganroth, along with Candy Ebling, Marvin Powell III, and Mel Farr Jr. Thank you for joining us on this edition of Inside Depiction. Have a great football weekend, everybody. more to come on Tuesday and hopefully on Saturday. God bless everybody. Enjoy your weekend, and thanks for being a part of this show. God bless everybody. Peace and love, and etc. ... Enjoy the championship weekend and the NFL activity going on. Bye now.